why is it that people cannot seem to get up off the ground after a relationship with a narcissist? Why can they not just go through the regular stages of grief and get on with it, quickly?
What I've recognized a lot more today is because there's more information out there regarding narcissism, is that more people are recognizing that they're in a relationship with somebody who may have these kinds of narcissistic characteristics, and something doesn't feel quite right to them, but they cannot extract themselves from the relationship. Why is it so difficult to leave, like to extract oneself? And then to your point, what happens once you get out that makes it almost impossible to move forward with one's life? So one reason I'm really excited to be here talking to you in particular is because you were saying a moment ago that there's a lot of disinformation out there on narcissism. And part of the disinformation, in my mind, has to do what I would consider splitting. In other words, when someone's in this kind of relationship and they recognize that their partner may be narcissistic, they begin to blame, right? And accuse. And then they feel very victimized by this person. And it's not that this does not occur, but it's not always the full story. And what I mean by that is you have to think, when one is in a narcissistic relationship, where does that type of relationship primarily exist? It exists mainly in what we call fantasy. Now, what's fantasy? The fantasy typically, it could go in a couple different ways, but it's the immediate gratification that they're going to get in the moment of being in this relationship. In other words, there's something compelling and so exciting about being with this person that it binds them to them. Even though they, again, like I said, something may not be quite right. There are a lot of emotional ups and downs, but there's something there, the immediate gratification, which is really important, because as you and I continue to talk, we may end up comparing this to what some people do, like an addiction. And with any addiction, you get an immediate gratification. The second piece is the hopes and the dreams that you attach to the relationship. Now, you think you're attaching it to this person as an individual person, like it's about them. But again, this is the fantasy of the relationship. So it's not just that you're in a relationship, but I've heard you use this concept before, and it really resonated with me quite deeply. In your earlier episodes, you've called it the shared fantasy. And I think you even had an interview with somebody who said, this is the shared fantasy. And I was like, yes, this makes complete sense. Because if we go back in terms of my own bias, I'm a psychoanalyst by training. So I've studied this psychoanalytic for many, many years. We've called this different things. Like it's known as developmentally, there's a symbiotic stage of development. That's a natural stage that all infants and children move through. That's also known as maternal preoccupation, where the mother early on in life, or the caregiver, we can say, is completely preoccupied with the developing child. It's also been referred to coincidentally as the narcissistic phase of development. So it's no wonder people struggle with this today. So in this, and there's one other concept for it, which is the grandiose self merged with the omnipotent other. And basically, I'll just break that down very quickly. What that means is the grandiose self, that's the immediate gratification that I mentioned just a moment ago, where you have a wish or a need of some sort, and it feels like there's always somebody there who's going to see you or recognize you, and that is so gratifying. So, and of course, that's the merger with the omnipotent other, because in your mind, there's a real strong conviction that this person, when you're in that moment with them, that shared fantasy, right? When you're in it, that they are completely perfect and capable of gratifying and meeting all your needs.